Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Please follow our channel, subscribe, share it with as many people as you can. This is TJK Shares. TJK team brings you nuggets of wisdom, sharing what we know, what I know, what our team knows, so we can make this world a better place. We are all born in different circumstances in different parts of the world. This channel reaches the entire world, different continents. We have friends in China, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, in Brazil, in the United States, in Uganda, where I was born and raised, following, learning, and unlearning. Through your comments, ladies and gentlemen, we are able to learn from you and to share your experiences. Today, professional day with a jacket and rotary pin, we are here now to share nuggets on building relationships. It so happens that I'm recording it from Chevy Chase, Maryland, near Washington, D.C., in our good friend's house, Ronnie and Janice Simon. Janice is the chairperson of Nyaka board. She has been not only a friend, a mentor, a guide, a board chair who is my boss, basically I report to. I love you, Janice. I love you, Lonnie. Both of you have been amazing in my life. But before I even get to this level, let me go back how relationship building is so important. For all of you aspiring fundraisers, for all of you professional fundraisers, and anybody in between, you know that building a relationship is key to raising money, whether it is for business, whether it is a startup, whether it is an investment in a bank. Even the banks have people they call relationship managers. As a child growing up in Nyaka village, my grandfather taught me what building a relationship means. He never gave me a lecture, but he lived by example, showing all of us grandchildren, all of his children, what, how, where, all the 5 W's, how to build a relationship. By the time I was born, as a youngest of 5 children, ladies and gentlemen, Jackson Kaguli is the pinky baby, the last born. I already had siblings, so I was learning from my sisters and my brother also how and what relationships mean in our environment. As a child, I ran behind my sisters and my brother going to school. They would wake up early and put on their uniforms because we had such a tight relationship. Today, relationship is the key we are talking about. They would walk and run to leave me home as the last born who was not yet ready to go to school. And I would follow them, hiding behind them, trying to sneak so I can go to school. What was I looking for? Friends. People who I can hang out with. As the youngest, I didn't have the baby following me to play with at home. My mom was busy tilling land. In fact, I remember my cousin one time saying to my mother, I don't want to play with boys. I want to play with girls. She was the last born. I was the last born. She was a girl. I was a boy. And she didn't think I knew the games to play. But we had a good relationship. Keyword relationship. When I sneaked so many times from home, my father and my mother finally gave up and gave me that piece of a pencil, which will be another episode. The difference a pencil makes in your life. They gave me that pencil and I started school. In a classroom, in a rural area of Uganda where I grew up in Nyaka, 3 children sat on one desk, had one bench. We shared. So by the circumstances I was put in, I was forced to build a relationship with the 3 people I shared the desk with. Interestingly, those were always people from different backgrounds, different religious groups, but I was also watching my grandfather helping people who were different, worshiping on different days, who were different ages, who came for help for healthy reasons, or who wanted food. My grandfather, ladies and gentlemen, another episode will come one day and tell you about how he built the first Seventh-day Adventist church in our community. My grandfather was a leader who welcomed everybody in his home. And he knew everybody's name who came to his home. He would find out their family and background. For a man who never went to school, he was amazing on building relationships, and his name is forever in the history books in our area. But learning from that, I learned to get to know my friends in primary one at Zoroma Primary School in Nyakajezi, Kanongo. But because my parents were also poor, which I talked about in our first episode, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. I talked about relationships. We were poor, but we were rich at heart. The young men and women who were in our classroom, we had time to interact, to get to know each other, because we were born in a village, we knew each other's families. But I made sure that the people who sat on the bench with me, I got to know them deeper. Then, because my parents were poor, each time they needed school fees, tuition, my dad would change us from one school to another. I didn't know at the time, but for me, that was an opportunity to meet more people and to get to know more children in the area. By the time I finished elementary school, which is called primary school in Uganda, ladies and gentlemen, I had attended 5 different schools for 7 grades of primary school. And that means for me, I had made friends in 5 different schools. Many of these men and women are still my friends today. Bless all those of us who have passed away, rest in peace, our friends, but the ones who are still alive, we are still friends. And we still hang out when I'm in Uganda. Those relationships were made at a time when I didn't know what I was doing, but they have proven to be an asset in my life as I grew up. Finished, went to secondary school. Even in secondary school, I attended 2 different secondary schools, Kambuga Secondary School and St. Charles Gwanga Secondary School. Relationships at St. Charles Gwanga, relationships at Kambuga Secondary School. High school, Makerere University, Columbia University, I am going through my education, I am making relationships. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you a story that is so intriguing, we might even make an episode about it one day. When I got a scholarship to come to Columbia University, I didn't have money to buy a suitcase. I had never flown on a plane. That was my first plane ride. For those of you who are flying left and right, bless your hearts. Thank God you do. I know many of my audience have never been on a plane. One day you will get there. I got on that plane and flew to New York, JF Kennedy on a January 14. January 14 in New York City means deep winter. That year, there was even a storm, snowstorm. It had been there for 3 days. I arrived in a short-sleeved shirt, in dress pants and sandals, blue butter sandals I was wearing. I walked out of the plane as I was going to looking for the person who was picking me. They had a sign, Tracy J. Jackson Kaguru. I walked to the man. He was dark, he was an immigrant, and he was from Senegal. He introduced himself, I've come to pick you up, and he looked at me from the head to the toe and goes, young man, where is your coat? Said, what coat? He said, it's winter in America. Said, what is winter? He shook his hand in disgusting look. He was so disappointed that here I am going to Columbia University and I didn't understand that it was cold and snowy and I needed a coat, I needed the boots, I needed the socks, I needed the gloves and a hat, none of which I had. The man told me, wait right here. He drove back to the parking lot, drove the cab closer to the door, turned up the heat and drove me on Broadway. Broadway is a street in New York, and bought me a coat. handed it to me, drove me to 500 Riverside at International House where I lived, got me in the house, didn't ask me for the money for the court, and I've never seen that man again. If I had stayed in touch with him, I would have built a strong relationship with him. But he taught me a lesson, just like my grandfather had taught me a lesson by example. Compassion met me at JFK Airport. To this day, ladies and gentlemen, when I go to New York, which I do at least 3 times a year, I take the yellow cab because that man was a yellow cab driver. You can imagine a yellow cab driver giving up his 59 and 86 cents to buy a stranger a coat he will never see again. We don't know if somebody had been compassionate to him before. We don't know whether his religion taught him to give to strangers. We don't know many things, just like Jesus told so many stories of we don't know. I will never find out because I will never meet this man again. I've tried and couldn't find him. But here I was now introduced to Columbia University, a Ivy League school in the United States, the school where Barack Obama, our former president, went, and many United Nations Secretary Generals have attended. Amazing Ivy School. A boy from Nyakajezi, Uganda, ended up at that school. How? Because of a relationship I had with Professor Paul Martin, who saw me presenting the paper on human rights and said there's potential here, faxed my paper at Columbia University and got into the program for human rights. Relationship is our key word here. Ladies and gentlemen, since then, I have met so many people around the world. I've traveled on every continent except Antarctica. I have built relationships that has led us to this amazing organization called Nyaka Global, led by me as a founder and CEO. Our staff members in Uganda, salute to you, your hard work. Staff members in the United States, in Canada, and in the UK, salute to you. Thank you so much for the work you do. That is also relationship. If you lead a team that you don't have a relationship with, there's going to be so many obstacles. So I try to build relationships with everyone I work with, all the donors I meet. Growing up in Nyaka Village, since we are in Washington, DC, I can also say I've been lucky to meet 4 presidents of the United States. Through relationships we built with Nyaka organization, volunteers and board members, there have been steps that have been taken to get to meet these presidents. When I wrote A School for My Village, there will be an episode on books and why I wrote those books, both for adults and for children. When I wrote A School for My Village in 2010, one of our supporters out of Aspen, Colorado said to me, Jackson, have you ever been to CGI, Clinton Global Initiative? And the answer was no. She then went ahead and told me, since I didn't ask her permission, I won't say her name, that my daughter went to school with Chelsea Clinton, the only child of Bill and Hillary Clinton. This amazing, wonderful woman who calls also who we call my Jewish mother in Aspen, went ahead and connected me to Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, and I got an invitation to go to Clinton Global Initiative, CGI, in 2018. I am in among the change makers of the world from the business side and from the corporate side and from NGO world. Think of the Walmarts, think of the Tysons, think of international NGOs, UNICEF, Save the Children, Plan International, Unilever, all are gathered in one room, and the philanthropists who give them money, the Gates Foundation, the Oplas, everybody was there. I'm overwhelmed. This is your boy from Yaka, working in New York, Sheraton Hotel, closed off from everybody. I have my badge. I don't know what I'm going to do. I walk into the lunchroom, looking through the book to understand where I can sit or not. And while I am there, a man and his wife, Barry Siegel and Doris Siegel. I know you run your foundations, so I have to say your name here and give you recognition for what you did that day that has forever changed the trajectory of Nyaka and my own. The relationship is important, ladies and gentlemen. Barry Siegel walked up to me and says, "Hello, young man." I said, "Hello, sir. How are you? What brings you to CGI?" I said, "I am Jackson, TJ Jackson Kaguri. I started this small organization called Nyaka in Uganda. We work with children, grandmothers. We use a holistic approach. I had my elevator speech. You don't know what an elevator speech? Watch out for future episodes. We'll talk about elevator speech. I summarized what we do in a few seconds and said, what about you? He looks at me and says, I recently went to Africa. He had gone to Rwanda and visited. When I came back, I am inspired to support children and communities, especially children who want to get education. Since your organization is doing work with children, he told me, I'm going to send you $10,000 next week to help with the organization. If you use it right, I'll give you more. If you don't, you'll never hear from me. In my mind, I'm going, here we go again. Somebody just promising something, but okay. Said, thank you. He wrote it on a napkin. A napkin is that paper you use to wipe your face and wipe your mouth when you're eating in a fancy restaurant. He wrote it and handed it to me. I put it in my pocket, introduced me to Dore, his amazing, beautiful wife. We sat down right there. I didn't move. We had lunch. We talked about other things. The next week on Friday, his check of 10,000 was in our office in Michigan. Promise made, promise fulfilled. Since that day, ladies and gentlemen, I've stayed in touch. I've sent thank you letters. I've sent reports. Barry Siegel, the man, is the one who is behind the Siegel Family Foundation that supports more than 250 organizations. I'm blessed to have known him before even Siegel Family Foundation started, before Focus for Africa started, before Focus Latin America started, which are the three foundations that started. Later in our relationship building and hanging out, I told him we needed more board members and wanted him to join our board. And he said, TJK, which is still insist call me by TJK, the first name. I cannot serve on all boards of my friends and people I support, but my daughter, Jenna Simon, I will ask her and she can serve if she wants to. Cut the story short, Janice joined our board, became a chair, served 6 years, and recently we needed a chair to step in. She came back and now she's again our chair of the board. The relationship that started on a napkin in a restaurant, lunch at CGI, led me from one president, President Clinton, to amazing philanthropist, Barry Siegel, to his entire family of 6 children and his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I call them a family. I call them people who love and care. I have gone to near every house of all 6 children. Even his ex-wife, Juliana, gives money. Martin gives money. Everyone, Rich, Brad, Lisa, Sharon, and even grandchildren who have run marathons for us. Danny, the grandson, has run 2 marathons for Nyaka and now is supporting a teacher from Nyaka to come and run in New York. But
I was just saying, and me, they brought me in.
Yes, Ladies and gentlemen, they didn't only stop on providing and opening up our philanthropists and givers, they also opened up friends and family and children who have been adopted, including our amazing producer, Matt Stable. Janice Simon and Lonnie Simon consider Matt as one of their sons who grew up with their biological son, Matt, who is a lawyer, human rights lawyer. Matt and Matt grew up together, they are brothers from birth to now. Matt Stable has been to Nyaka 9 times, first as a volunteer following Mama and Daddy, Ronnie Simon, and now he's a part-time staff member. He's taken all the pictures you've seen on Nyaka website in our 20th anniversary. He's now the one producing these films. So if you see anything on this channel and want to complain to Matt. Amazing, Matt, you came to us because of this family. We continue to develop these relationships. And I'll tell you what, when we say relationships, the thing I use that people do not understand is no person in this world wants to be an ATM. ATM is the card you use to go to the bank and withdraw money. You do not have a relationship with an ATM machine. You only go there, put in your card, take out money and your receipt and go. I've never met a person who goes back to the ATM and say, hello, ATM, how are you doing today? How did you sleep? How was your birthday? I hear you lost your dog, ATM. May the dog rest in peace. There's no relationship between an ATM and the customer. And no human being wants to be like that. I have found out that even the people who tell me, Jackson, do not send me a thank you later after I send you a donation for Nyaka. When I send them not a thank you later, but a different card that says, we appreciate you, they write me back and say, that was amazing, I didn't expect it. When I send flowers on Mother's Day to a woman who never had biological children, but she supports children at Nyaka who are now have no mothers, that woman has stepped in as a mother. In my culture, how I was raised, that is a motherly love, and that woman deserves to be thanked and wished Mother's Day. Those women have come back to me and said, I didn't even realize that I was playing a mother role. When we have sent a happy anniversary, when somebody's cat dies and we send them a comfort message, sympathy message, people have all turned around and appreciated those relationships. To run a successful business, to run a successful nonprofit organization, survive in this world, you need relationships. We will all face so many challenges. So many things are going to happen in our lives. The people we have relationships with are the ones who are going to stand up for us, are the ones who are going to comfort us, are the ones who are going to help us get out of that deep stress and deep depression and raise our heads up and continue walking. Relationship building is important in your business. Relationship building is important in your personal life, your emotional, your economic, your psychological support. As a human being, even the Bible talks about it. You need relationships. Value them, cultivate them, water them, put them out for the sun, and make sure you love one another, you care about one another. Stop being selfish, give yourself to others, and we will build a better world and become better world citizens. TJK shares, share your comments, subscribe, come back next week. There's more to come. We can't wait to see you again.